Travis County voters are hitting early voting locations in droves. According to the Travis County clerk, there were almost 83,000 early votes cast in the first 2 days of early voting this week. And the largest turnout was at the UT campus, where 2 days of early voting equaled about 5,500 votes. ACC came in with more than 3,500 votes cast. Here to talk about this, Gary Teal, the Travis County Republican Party Executive Director, and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Ed, do you believe this large turnout, especially at UT and ACC, is because of Beto O'Rourke?
Well, yeah, I do think that's a big part of it. I also think there's huge enthusiasm right now across America about people who want to go out and have their voice heard. So you've got this at UT, you've got it at ACC, but it's not limited to just these two locations. It's countywide. In fact, it's statewide right now. The turnout in Texas is, look, it's bananas, right? I mean, this is a presidential year turnout so far. So I think that's a good sign for Democrats. I think it's a sign, especially when you look at the urban counties like Travis County, where more Democratic voters reside. But there is one note of caution here. Early vote has become a larger percentage of the overall vote every election for the past 4 cycles. So some of this could be what we refer to as substitute voting, which is people who would normally vote on election day now voting in the early vote. Having said that, I still think the numbers are so high that we're looking at an increased voter turnout across the county and across the state in this midterm election.
Gary, what is your take on this turnout, and is this big early turnout, is it better for Democrats or better for Republicans?
Oh, well, I think Ed's got it right. It depends on whether these people are new people coming in or whether they're just voting earlier. I think it's worth noting that everyone in Travis County went to Randall's yesterday morning to get fresh water, and they were there, so they might as well vote. And I think that has some impact. Obviously, there is increased early voting all over the state. People would rather vote early because they think that it won't take as long. You don't get extra votes for voting early, so if this flattens out and it turns out that there are fewer people on Election Day, this won't have a big impact. And really, looking at the 2 student precincts is the least informative way to do this, because in other precincts you can look at people's past voting pattern, and if they haven't voted for the last 4 elections in a row and they suddenly show up for this general election, that means something. But if they're 19 years old and this is the first election they've been able to vote in, then of course they're going to vote, and we don't know whether these people will keep voting. I hope they do. I mean, good turnout is good for the process. Yeah. I've got no problem with people voting.
Ed Espinoza, are the majority of new voters, do you think they're voting Democrat or Republican?
Well, they certainly did in 2016. I think they're going to do it again in 2018. My own research at Progress, Texas showed that of people who had not voted in a general election prior to 2016, there were 1.8 million of them. 1.8 million of them came from the state's largest counties, and in those counties, the margin that Democrats had increased their vote share from 2012 to 2016 compared to Republicans was 5-1. Okay. This isn't saying that they did better than 5-1 but, overall, but the growth margin was there. So I think that a lot of these new voters, and not just young people, they're people who have moved to Texas from other states. Many of them are in their 30s and 40s.
Okay, well, early voting.